Hello. I don't know about where you live, but where I live it's cold and cloudy. It's the middle of January, and I always start thinking about crocheting some snowmen or snowflakes at this time of year because they just make me smile and make me happy. So let's make one. You're going to need some white yarn. You're going to need a tiny bit of orange yarn and a little bit of another color for the scarf. You'll need some safety eyes, your hook, your yarn needle, some scissors, maybe a stitch marker, and some stuffing. Alright, I'm going to make a magic ring to start this project, and I'm going to single crochet 8 times into the middle of my magic ring. I'm going to shut my magic ring a little bit, but I don't like to close it too tight so that first stitch doesn't get too tight. I used to pull it very tight and couldn't get my hook in the first stitch, so there we go. So in the second round we're going to increase in every stitch, and that just simply means we're going to do 2 single crochets in every stitch. And at the end we'll have 16 stitches. And I'm going to shut my magic ring by pulling the tail good and tight as possible to close up the hole in the center. And we're ready for round 3. For round 3, we're simply going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. And we're going to do that for round 4, and we're also going to do that for round 5. And this is the head, this is the top of our snowman. I'm going to start using a stitch marker in the first stitch of each round now. So I went ahead and did that for the first stitch of round 3. And I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch for round 3, 4, and 5, all 3 rounds. Now I'm just going to speed up the video so I don't take forever to do this on video, but you can stop the video if you would like to finish your rounds, and then I'll meet you at the end of round 5. Now at the end of round 5, you can add your safety eyes if you're going to use safety eyes. You can also embroider eyes. And I like to remind everybody that just because they're called safety eyes does not mean that they're safe for little children or pets. You don't really want to give this to a cat, for instance, or a baby, because they love to chew on things and it's a choking hazard. So we don't want to be giving them to little kids. You can embroider eyes on, and maybe sometime I can make a video about facial features and embroidering things like that sometime. But for now, I'm going to use safety eyes, and I'm putting these safety eyes between round 4 and 5. Because the next round we're going to decrease a little bit. I don't like normally putting safety eyes in so close to the edge, but since we're going to decrease, it might be hard to get the safety eyes in if I don't do it now. So for round 6, we're going to decrease 8 times. And that's so every stitch is going to be a decrease, and I did an invisible decrease there by putting my hook under the 2 front loops of the next 2 stitches, then yarning over, pulling through the front loops, and then yarning over and pulling through the 2 loops left for a regular single crochet. So we'll just decrease 8 times and we'll be finished with round 6. Okay, so the head is finished. You could add a little stuffing here into the head. It's kind of nice to add just small amounts of stuffing at a time and not a lot at once. It seems to work better that way. So just little bits at a time and try to fit it in there. This is so small, I didn't need too much. But okay, we're ready for round 7. For round 7, we're going to just do the opposite of the last round, and we're going to increase in every stitch. Now, I don't believe I said what size hook I'm using in this video, but I'm using a 3.5mm, I believe. And the thing is, though, with this pattern, you can use any size hook and any size yarn that works together well. And if you want to use chenille, it comes out beautifully. This little snowman is really nice if you use chenille, and it'll come out larger depending on the size of your yarn. It should come out larger, and especially if you use a bigger hook and thicker yarn, and it comes out very nice. So don't be afraid to try using whatever you have, and it'll come out very cute. We're ready for round 8. So I did a single crochet in the first stitch. I'm going to put my stitch marker in there. And then we're going to increase in the second stitch. And then you're just going to repeat that sequence all the way around. So one single crochet and then an increase in the next stitch, and repeat that around. At the end we'll have, I believe, 24 stitches. Okay, so he's getting wider. Now we're on round 9, rounds 9 through 11. For rounds 9 through 11, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So again, I'm going to speed up the video in a moment, but you are welcome to stop the video so that you can complete your rounds, and then I'll meet you at the end of round 11. Alright, now we're ready for round 12. We're almost finished with the body of our little snowman. So for round 12, we're going to single crochet in the first stitch, and then I'm replacing my stitch marker, and then we're going to decrease in the next stitch. Actually, we're going to combine the next 2 stitches in a decrease, and then we're just going to repeat that sequence around. Single crochet, then decrease, single crochet, then decrease, and just keep going till the end, and I'll meet you at the end. Now it looks like a snowman. You can add some stuffing now, and you know, it's funny when you do those rounds in the middle of 1 stitch per stitch, it starts to look really big, and you're thinking, oh, this is too big, what's going on here, this is getting really wide. But then as soon as you do the first round with decreases, it just pulls it down and tightens it up, and then it starts to look like it should. So don't worry if you're doing a project like that and it starts to look really wide. Don't worry, it'll look better once you decrease. Okay, we're ready for the last round. And for round 13, we're simply going to decrease for every stitch. So just do 8 decreases, and then we can close it up with our yarn needle. Alright, awesome. We're finished with the snowman, and Now we just have to add some details and close it up. Starting to look good. Alright, so you can cut your yarn and pull your hook until that comes out of the last loop. And we're going to put this yarn on our yarn needle and just fold your yarn and rub your yarn, the eye of your yarn needle over the little fold, and it should pop through and you can pull it through and thread your yarn needle. Now I think I need more stuffing, so I'm going to put some more in before I close it up. Okay, now we can close it up with our yarn needle. So I recommend taking your yarn needle from the center and then running it under the stitch toward the outside. So from the center, under the outer loop of each stitch, and we would call that the front loop if we were still crocheting. So just run it under the front loop of each stitch. In the last round like this, the stitches are kind of leaning over, so it's kind of easy to find that front loop. So just run your yarn needle under each of the last 8 loops and then pull tight, and then you're going to run the yarn needle into the center and out a random spot on the side. Pull tight so it will smooth out the bottom, and then just trim off that excess thread, and voila, we're all done with the little snowman. Now he needs a nose, maybe some eyebrows. Okay, so I kind of messed up on the nose a little bit, so I'm going to tell you what you should do. I kind of did an extra stitch or two here. So just insert your hook into the face between the eyes. Grab your new color, your orange, and pull up a loop, tiny loop, just a very tiny loop, and then yarn over and pull through that tiny loop. And my yarn was splitting there a little bit. And chain 3, 1, 2. I only chained 2, and really honestly that's enough, I think. And then slip stitch in the first stitch, and then single crochet in the next stitch. And actually I single crocheted in the loop that I pulled out. But chaining 3 is a little too much. Okay, and then I did a half double crochet in the next stitch. So yeah, you could go ahead and do that, like another stitch on the face. So I half double crocheted, and then you can just cut your yarn. I slip stitched again. I don't know why I did that. So just, you don't have to do an extra slip stitch. So then just cut your yarn and put it on your yarn needle and put it through the face right next to the nose. Pull it out a random spot, and then get the other tail on your yarn needle. My tail was short here, so I put the yarn needle in first, and then I was able to get the tail into the eye of the needle. So that's a trick if your tails are accidentally too short. And then I pulled both tails out the same space and tied them in a knot. I like to do this just to make sure everything's secure. So I tie that in a knot, and then you trim off the excess, and you can take the tip of your scissors and poke the knot inside with your scissors. And that works really well to hide the knot. And your little nose is done. It's looking cute now. He's starting to look like a snowman. And then I have some black embroidery thread that I'm just going to put some eyebrows on my little snowman. You could use black yarn if that's what you have. Embroidery thread works really well if you have it. But you can also skip this step. You don't have to put eyebrows on. It is really cute though. So you just make a little stitch basically, and I like to make mine kind of tilt upwards in the middle, you know, kind of tilt diagonally. So I just made one little stitch over there and brought it out to the other side, and I'm going to make a little stitch on the other eye above the other eye here. I think I brought it down too low right there, so I'm changing it. And there. Now I'm going to try to bring this out the same space where I have the other end. Oops, it came off. Somehow it came off out of my yarn needle. Okay. Here, I could edit out all these mistakes, but but there you go. You just make another little stitch for the other eyebrow. I think one of my eyebrows is bigger than the other, but oh well. You want to make sure your scissors are closed when you do this, but then you can poke in the tails or the knots and they disappear inside. So now I'm gonna make the scarf really quick. It's super easy. You just chain about 35, depending on the size of your snowman. You may have to make it bigger or smaller, but this works for a tiny snowman. So 35. It's actually a tiny bit long, but I kind of like it that way. So, and then you're going to skip the first stitch and then half double crochet all the way down your chains. So you'll have 34 half double crochets across. And then all that's left to do is put a little fringe on the ends of your scarf. So there's more than one way to add fringe. I just cut a bunch of little strands of yarn, and I did 2 at a time, although I don't know if I'm not sure that I liked it once I was finished. It might be better to just use 1 strand of yarn at a time, but you can do it however you prefer. But I took 2 strands and I just I folded them in half and pulled up a tiny loop through a stitch at the end of the scarf, and then I pulled all 4 ends through that little loop and then pulled it tight and then went on and added more fringe and then trimmed off the ends so that they were all straight and even, and then I just added some fringe to the other end, and then I kind of laid them together to measure to make sure that they were both the same length. Both ends with the fringe are the same length, so I'll show you here. Super easy though. Okay, so I've got my fringe added to the second side, and I'm just tightening it up. And then I'm just going to lay this so that the ones that I trimmed are on top, and then I can measure, like just trim the others the same length. There we go. And the scarf is all finished. And what I do is I put this together and then I pull one end of the scarf between two stitches on the scarf, and I struggled to get it through a little bit. I actually cut out a lot of the struggle when I edited the video, but you just put your hook between two stitches and just grab the other end and try to pull it through between. It is very tight, so it's kind of hard to get that through, but it'll be fine. Just get that pulled through, and once that's pulled through, it'll stay on because it is so tight. It'll stay on, and that's all you have to do. There, finally. Finally the scarf is on. Okay, and now he's so cute. And you can add a keychain. I have a little video about adding a keychain to something like this. I love adding this, just hanging this on my bag, and or from the mirror in the car. It's just so fun. It adds a little bit of cheerfulness to the season when it's cloudy out, and makes me happy anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this. I love making these little snowmen, and thank you so much for visiting and watching my video. I hope you have a wonderful day.